counterpart now, or your opponent, Ranguma, has gone independent, and he's determined to take back his seat. Your thoughts?
I think he's going to find it very difficult, really. He's going to find it extremely difficult because, I mean, just as an evidence, when he presented his papers a day before me on Madaraka Day, after presenting his papers, he came out and tried to tour the city of Kisumu. The people openly rejected him. And he has never talked about that at all. When I did present my papers, the whole city went wild, and you could have seen the crowd
at the sports ground.
At the sports ground. I mean, it was earth shaking. The only thing I really regret is that when we went to Kondele, I came out of the roof of the car and I was going to address the people under the bypass, and some godforsaken individual from the security forces decided to throw tear gas at us. I mean, he threw the first tear gas under my car and I had to come down. It was terrible because the window was open, the roof window was open. We really had a hard time trying to breathe in the car, but fortunately we drove away and got away from it and put water on our faces and so on, and managed to breathe and go. And then I instructed my team, let's drive straight to the sports ground. We were going to tour the town further, but I thought that kind of behavior by some godforsaken individual in the security forces was terrible. And I've reported that to the security forces in Kisumu. I told them to investigate. It was a lone ranger. They should punish that fellow. But I really think that my opponent had something to do with it, but that is subject to investigation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Professor,
so many people have been asking, Professor, if you really believe in Raila's presidency and being one of his best canals, why would you go for the governorship rather than wait for him to be president so that you be the part of the team that forms the government?
But I'm going to be part of the team, being governor of Kisumu.
Or at the national level.
But devolution is not separated from the national level. Remember, the Constitution says we have two separate types of government in Kenya. Separate but interdependent. That's very important. Now, my becoming governor of Kisumu was not an individual decision. The ODM functions in a very organized manner. It was very highly discussed because Kisumu, like Mombasa and Nairobi, are key economic centers of this nation, and NASA and the ODM would like to control these particular counties with some of the most competent persons, and I'm sure Jalango, I'm competent.
What programs, what policies, what is new that you want to bring to the people of Kisumu?
The French government gave the Kenyan government a loan of 7 billion Kenyan shillings. The Kenyan government, the Treasury, then gave us a grant to the Kisumu County, that's 7 billion Kenyan shillings, for financing Kisumu Urban Project. Now, the Kisumu Urban Project had about 7 components. One of the components was really modernizing and clearing the lakefront for commercial and maritime business, and also for leisure. Secondly, was improving urban transport. Thirdly, was improving urban markets like the Jubilee market, the Kibuye market, the Utonglo market on the way to Busia. Fourthly, was to deal with solid waste management. Fifthly, was to ensure that certain modern schools are built in Kisumu. Sixthly, was what might call urban renewal. And finally, was to ensure that urban infrastructure in general is improved. Of all these 7 things that was to be done by the Kisumu Urban Project, only one was started and completed. That was the building of schools. And that was started when Sam Okello was still mayor. Now, the Kisumu Urban Project was meant to run from 2012 to 2016. And remember, elections were in 2013. The school project was already started. All the other 6 projects were never started under Ranguma. And the Kisumu Urban Project was supposed to be a stimulus, an attraction to other things in Kisumu, to attract business. For example, the urban renewal would have attracted a lot of business, created a lot of employment, and began changing the face of Kisumu. You see what I mean? The lakefront modernization was going to improve maritime transport on the lake. You see what I mean? And invite a lot of investment on the lakefront. But that didn't happen. Now, this is what really upset us as leaders of ODM, that really we can't miss such an opportunity. And we have to get somebody who knows something about planning to rejuvenate Kisumu. And basically, I offered that, look, this is something that I must do in my lifetime. It doesn't mean that all of us must be in the cabinet. After all, the cabinet positions are limited. You know that. It doesn't mean that all of us must be in the Senate. After all, yes, we did offer to be in the Senate in 2013 because we knew that there were certain devolution laws that still had to be passed according to Schedule 5 of the Constitution. We have done that. Some of them are still not yet done, but still, as a party or as a coalition, we can work with our coming senators as governors and party leaders and make sure that it's done. So this myth that if you're a governor, you have been exiled to Siberia from the national government is completely nonsensical.
And you're very confident of a NASA victory, Professor?
Oh yes, the figures are for us. I think victory is on our side.
But 10 million is unreasonable, isn't it? Don't you think?
It's not unreasonable, it's an ambition. You know, it's good to be ambitious. It's good to fly with the eagles rather than walk with the chicken. And another thing which is very interesting, if you look at Wajir County, where Governor Abdullahi has sunk 360 boreholes, it is the only county in northern Kenya which during the last drought, where camels did not die and human beings did not die. That shows it can be done. You can provide water for a whole county. And
that's why it was voted the best county in the union.
So, and if you have, I'm the Public Accounts and Investment Committee, it did not cost Governor Abdullahi a fortune. But one thing that Governor Abdullahi did is that he planned very well. And apart from the money, divisional revenue allocation that he got through the Senate from the Treasury, he's also in very good relations with donors. I know that the Swiss government, the Swiss embassy here, has arranged frequently to take northern governors to Switzerland to negotiate projects. I know that the former prime minister did take some governors to Germany and to go and see and discuss this borehole project. When he came back, only a few governors followed up the thing, you see. So really, it depends on how somebody takes that position seriously. Leadership makes a difference. And there was a Russian political economist who wrote a very interesting book called The Role of Individual in History. Individuals do make a difference in history.
Professor, if someone was to ask you the one thing, if someone is on the border right now, not quite sure whether to vote for Ranguma or for Nyong'o, the one thing you would tell them that you are coming into this to do, what would it be?
One thing that I'm coming in to do, first and foremost, is to lay down the structures and systems to devolve governance in the county. Without that, you are getting nowhere. For example, one of the things that some counties have not done is to establish village councils. If you look at the Constitution, the County Governments Act, the role of village council is extremely important, especially given the fact that under the 2010 Constitution, public participation is a cardinal aspect of governance. You're not going to know what the people prefer, what the people want. You're not going to get the people's input into integrated county development plan if you don't have a system through which they effectively participate. If you're preparing an integrated county development plan and you only go to a market during market day and tell people, come, bring us your ideas, some of the people you are talking to in a market day may not even be from Kisumu County. You see what I mean? But if you have a village council, that's a structured system of participation and for accountability. And that is the foundation of devolution. Without it, devolution flies in the air. For example, now you have ward administrators, sub-county administrators. They have absolutely no structure for accountability. They've just hung around, and when there is a national day, then they bring chairs and water and so on to the county officials. That is probably the only function they perform.
Absolutely.